Chevrolet Fleetline. The Chevrolet Fleetline is an automobile which was produced by U.S. automaker Chevrolet from 1941 to 1952. From 1946 to 1948 it was a sub-series of the Chevrolet Fleetmaster rather than a series in its own right, and from 1949 to 1951 it was a sub-series of both the Chevrolet Special and the Chevrolet Deluxe. In its final year it was offered only as a sub-series of the latter. The Fleetline was introduced late in the 1941 model year as a four-door sedan. In 1942, a fastback two-door Aero sedan was also offered. In 1947, the Fleetline made up 71.26% of Chevrolet's sales. For the years 1949 through 1952 models, the fastback was the only one offered, and Chevrolet dropped the Fleetline for 1953. Production was indefinitely delayed in 1942 due to World War II, after 110,000 had been made, though several thousand Chevrolet coupes and sedans were produced during the war years for military staff use. In 1945, production for civilians resumed. The original series was produced through 1948. A redesigned Fleetline with reduced body contour and integrated rear fenders was offered for the 1949 through 1952 model years. It was referred to as a fastback because of its distinct sloping roof which extends through to the trunk lid. The Fleetline during the 1949 to 1950 years also has a lower look than a sedan, with the windshield being 1 inch shorter in height than a standard contemporary sedan. The 1949 to 1951 models were made in both four-door and two-door models, with only the lower portion of the doors being interchangeable with a sedan door. The Fleetline series is currently highly collectible. Many are made into street rods, with the common Chevrolet 350 small block V8 and the 350 or 400 turbo transmission being used. In the 1941 and 1942 model years, the 216 SID inline-six Blue Flame engine was the only one offered. It produced 90 horsepower at 3,300 revolutions per minute, and in 1950 higher compression bumped it up to 92 horsepower. Also in 1950, a 235.5 SID one-barrel carb six-cylinder engine with 105 horsepower, 78 kilowatts, was added. A Fleetline of this vintage could easily exceed 80 miles per hour without overdrive. In very early models, the transmission was a manual synchro-mesh 3-speed, with vacuum-assisted shift, in which the 3 on the tree shifter was able to be moved between gears by the slightest pressure on the lever. Third gear was direct, meaning the input and output are equal speeds. From 1950 through the 1952 final year of its production, an automatic transmission was offered, which was quite sluggish. Overdrive was a rare option. Connection to the third member rear end was via an enclosed torque tube drive shaft. The brakes were hydraulic with all-wheel drums. In 1951, the brakes got larger. The master cylinder was located below the floor connected on the frame rail, beneath the driver. Shock absorbers were of the lever type for the early years only. The windshield for all years was of a split, flat glass type. The exterior sported smooth curves, chrome and stainless trim. In the earlier models the rear bumper had an optional center bumper guard that had to be ratcheted out of the way so the trunk cover could be lifted. Front and rear bumpers had optional chrome tips, a dress-up item that bolted to the ends of the stock bumper. Not a Chevrolet option but a popular aftermarket feature was a large external sunshade that protected the driver from glare off of the metal dashboard. The 1949 to 1952 models were completely different from the earlier years, with the Fleetline fastback shape being quite distinct from a normal sedan shape.